And boom! Look at that. We did it. Okay. What's up, Joel Blank? How are you, buddy?
What's up, IT guy?
Okay. See?
We're all
Fuck.
good.
Fuck shit. I knew it immediately. Okay. Let me tell you what. I
Have
was
you seen
so
Twitter?
pissed.
Have you seen Twitter?
No. Did you fucking
Oh,
roast me?
it's been clearly stated. Believe me. The guy who gets more shit about being lacking technology skills was not the guy that had a problem getting on tonight.
And you know
Let's just
what?
make
I would have, because I sprung it on you at the last second where I was like, hey, go grab Skype. And I got to say, bro, you fucking right on it, count, all that shit. And I'm the dumbass that fucked this all up tonight. Well, I mean, technically, Mob Crush, which is the software I use, fucked it all up. But it's on me. I got to be a better IT guy. That's on me. So
I'm just glad that I did sign up because I found out that somebody had been trying to use my account and logging on from Indonesia. So it was very cool since I had never been on Skype before.
really,
Yeah.
that's
I
a
had to
little
change,
that,
I had
that's
to
a little
change passwords
scary.
and everything. Yeah, not good.
Did you are you gonna send something to Skype and be like, hey, I don't know who that person is, but it's not me?
Well, I'm IT savvy. So what I did was I went into the account and I started back checking logins and if they were successful and my account and activity. And there was nothing there except for 3 false attempted logins, 1 from Indonesia and 2 from the United. I was good. So I just changed the
Wow.
password.
Bro, people out
Yeah,
here hacking your shit.
I
That's
guess so.
wild.
No
I,
idea.
I appreciate you joining me, man. This was
Come on.
I was looking forward to this one because I wanted people to kind of get the inside scoop on us because, doing the radio show, I think a lot of people hear us every day and think about how, oh, it sounds like we're getting along great, and we are. But it wasn't always the case, and it's been a grind for us. And what I love most about the show and what we've been able to accomplish is how far we've come, and that's the cool thing about it is we've really done some cool shit and come a long way. And I wanted to give people kind of a taste of that, but I also wanted to talk about you, bro, because you don't get to do a lot of. I mean, we talk about our past, but not a ton. So I wanted to go more into that too and let people get to know Joe Blank, not on the radio. So that's why I'm excited about this because I think this is gonna be cool. Now, when Nick did it, he had special hand rolled cigars.
Saw that.
You got anything in the pipe you're gonna toot on or?
Uh, no need to make this the first time. So no. I have water right here. We did have a cheat meal tonight because
Oh shit!
in training for TV lady was told by her trainer that to reset her system, she needed to have a cheat night tonight. So we ordered Chewies and I had fajitas and she had a vegetarian burrito. But of course, it doesn't matter. For me, it's the entree. For her, it's the dessert. So as long as Tiff Treats was delivered, she's good.
She don't give a shit after that, right?
Does
You
not care.
now, truthfully, could she have just skipped the Chewies and went straight to Tiff's Treats, and that would have been a
Yeah.
good cheat night?
Yeah, because as you and I both talk about with our wives, no matter what you say, what do you want for dinner tonight, babe? It's always, well, what do you want?
Yeah,
And,
you're not.
and no matter what you say, what you say, she'll change it to what you want to. I say, I thought you wanted Chinese food. No. I definitely want. I'm like, okay. I shouldn't even ask you. I should just tell you where we're eating tonight.
Dog, I get to the point where literally all of our texts between me and my wife are just about food, and it's the same conversation every time. Either me or
I wish
her.
I was that lucky, but no.
Either me or her on the way home. Hey, I'm on my way home. What do you want? I don't know. What do you want? I don't care. What do you feel like? I don't care. Just make a fucking decision. You know what I want for dinner? I want you to make a decision. That's it. Because I'll eat whatever you want. Because if I choose it, it's probably going to be something you don't want. And now I'm going to have to listen to you go, well, yeah, I guess I'll just grab me whatever. No. No. By the way, I do have a chat session going for this. We're not on Facebook. I got fucked up. Thank you. Shout out to Mob Crush for fucking this up 10 minutes before we go live. I have opened a case with them, so hopefully they'll figure out why they wiped out all my social media accounts on my profile on there. And then when I go to add them back, it says, you can't add this back. These are for Barry Laminack. Yeah, that's me, bitches. But we do have a chat on YouTube. Shut up, Joel.
I'm just sitting here.
We do have a chat on YouTube. Brandon Martinez is in. Hugo is in. Demetrius is in. Santos is here. So Eric Resendez is here. So all the suspects are showing up. First chat out of the gate was what's up, guys, and H Town.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, dude. Okay, one thing I don't think people know, and that I don't even know if I know, to be honest with you. Where did you come up with the "What Up H Town" to start the show?
I don't know. It's
a great answer. No, seriously, that's a great answer.
But I seriously don't. I mean, you know, when we started doing this, because I'll be honest with you, you know, having done the Rockets for so long and just overseeing what everybody else had done too. And I got literally thrown into doing the Rocket studio and all that because it wasn't my choice. And so
you were just going to be a behind the scenes guy at the Rockets.
We kept going through guys, and we were on a road trip in San Francisco, and Tad Brown was on the road trip, and Craig Ackerman and I were on the road trip. And Tad said, "Hey, let's meet in the lobby. Let's have a meeting because I want to talk about who's going to be the new studio host." And I was like, "All right, cool." So I had been talking to people, interviewing people, and had people that I had in mind. So we sit down at this table, and I start going through one after the other, and Craig and Tad started laughing at each other. And I go, "I don't know what the hell y'all think is so funny, but I put a lot of work into this. I'm trying to figure out the right guy that can work for you and with him." And they both started laughing, and they're like, "We want you to do it." And I'm like, "What?" And your boy, who, by the way, I can't stand and that's one of the first things we shared in common. But because I can't stand Adam Clanton, right? And it's for a ton of man law violations that if I told you would just, you know, air it all out. But
now, I said I was going to get you to say the C word, but a couple with AJ, I think I ended up calling him the C word. So feel free if you need to
my whole thing was
name call. I'm down.
Even as much as that was in our past, I still suggested him as someone that we should look into hiring immediately. And we had a discussion, and then he was at the time working on Channel 2, so he was like, "I don't think I can swing it." I was like, "All right, bro, well, I'm just letting you know. I floated it out there to you." So even with that said, professionally, I had even considered that. But then to get to where we are and where you are and where I've seen he is with so many people, including guys we work with, I'm like, you know what, man, I wasn't wrong.
Yeah, you knew he was. So you get doing play-by-play. What did you have to prep for this? Because your job was director of broadcasting, but you're really more. You were a background guy. You were finding the talent, coaching the talent, negotiating deals. Right, that was your first
doing the interviews without being on camera. A lot of times when talent couldn't be there, and then we just cut in the actual talent. And then it was a whirlwind because then more and more they were like, "Can you do this?" Then when social media got to be a big thing, the Rockets were like, "Hey, can you start doing this and this and this for us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever we need." And so then they realized that I could do it without needing like 10 takes. So then it was like, "Hey, in a half hour, can you do a round table for 30 minutes on this or interview these I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Just let me change or let me do this and let's do that." So that's when they sat me down and I was going over all the potential people I had in line, and they laughed and said, "No, we want you to do it." And I was like, "Well, give me like, how long do I have? Like a month or two?" And they're like, "We want you to start when we get back on the homestand." And I'm like, "So in 3 days." But because of the back check, you know, all the background with other people and seeing how other people had done it from the time that I got the job, you take the best of what everybody else does and you learn to do it, you know, your own way, but you also take notes from what they did. So I initially was just going to be the studio host, and I was supposed to do it just for a couple of weeks. And then I kept asking, and they kept saying, "You're doing good. You should just keep doing it." Then Craig was the one that said to me, "Bro, if you want, you know the game as good as anyone. You should start doing color with me because I do it." You know, he does it by himself, and that's a hard job to do by yourself.
To do both, yeah.
And we developed a chemistry because I hired Craig as an intern 2 weeks into the job, and then got him. Then we got the Comets, and so he wanted to be a broadcaster. So I teamed him and Matt Bullard before Bull had any broadcast experience. I said, "This is how you're going to gain experience." And then lo and behold, look at them now. They're both sitting there, you know, with good gigs. So Craig and I have always had a great rapport. And that just developed into do the color as well as the studio. And then for 8 years, we had a good time.
So you weren't groomed. I mean, you didn't know about play by. I mean, you knew about it, but you hadn't done it. So you had to take everything that you would coach people on, and then implement it. And you know what? That's not always easy either. Is trying to and it's not like you had the opportunity to do this shit with the Comets. You're thrusted
Right.
into that shit with the Rockets. So that had to have been fucking difficult.
It was crazy. And the more I try not to think about it because when you did, that's when you can freeze. And that's when
Mm-hmm.
things can go terribly wrong. But I can tell you that, like, there were times when there was one road trip where Gene Peterson got sick. And I forget for one reason or another, there was no one else there. And they're like, it was a noon game. We all went out the night before in Chicago. And they woke me up at like 8 and they said, hey, you're going to probably do play by play on radio today. I'm like, I'm going to do what?
I'm a
And they're like,
what?
Gino's sick. He's going to stay in the hotel. We got nobody else. You have no choice. And, Jim Foley calls me at like 8:03, even though he's been drinking. He doesn't know what a hangover is. And he calls me, Joel, you're going to do great, and I'll help you with whatever you don't need. Let's do this.
First
And I'm
of
like,
all, you're an
oh my
asshole
God.
when you do that.
Oh, Foley knows. I've called him the male Catherine Hepburn forever. And he was like, piece of cake. Ah, you got this. And I'm like, okay, well. And so Gino showed up about 15 minutes before game time. And I'm sitting here just shitting my pants going,
Yeah.
I'm trying to do like a play-by-play sheet and do all this stuff. It's the Bulls in Chicago. I'm going, yeah, this is going to go terribly wrong.
Yeah.
But at the last minute, Gino showed up and I didn't have to do that one. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was just kind of like learn on the fly as you go and you go from there. So when I got done with the Rockets and Todd had called me and said, hey, I had no idea you weren't with the Rockets anymore. I'd love to talk to you. And so we started talking and I was like, what the hell is the differences between talk radio, sports talk radio, and Rockets radio?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I called Lance. And Lance and I had a great conversation, and Lance had texted me as well
He's
notes.
the dude,
and he
isn't he?
gave me all he is. And he gave me so much good advice that I was like, he's like, let your listeners get to know you. Feel like that they relate to you and they know you and they understand you and show them your personality. And he goes, it's not just about the sports. And he gave me so many good tips that I was like, well, I mean, all I can do is just go for it. And if I fail miserably, then I'll go and sell insurance.
Well, the good news is that the backup plan. Once they cancel our show,
possible.
You're selling insurance. I'm going back to IT once AJ says "fuck you guys."
Yeah, pretty much. And that could be any day. So yeah,
that could be Monday. Yeah, I would guess that at least having experience doing the Rockets and being in front of the microphone was a big factor in it being a little easier than not having any experience at all. I mean, because that can be the most intimidating thing. When the microphone goes out, people can talk sports and people can talk and hold conversations. But once the microphone is on, for some reason, people will freeze. So at least you had that under your belt already, right?
And doing live NBA games.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the fire, right? Because there are people listening at all times. And then with the NBA channel and XM, I had my college roommate listening back. I had so many people on a nightly basis going, I heard your highlight on this station. I was listening on this station. I was like, you were? And again, don't think about it because then you're actually going to have more of a tendency to freeze. But then you just start going, you know what? Screw it. Just go with it and let the cards fall where they may, and then you learn from it as you go. So, from the standpoint of, I would say the only thing from talk radio that was grossly different was with Rockets fans, as you know, the Kool-Aid drinkers love you no matter what you say, as long as you don't say the Rockets suck.
Yes.
You get on radio and it's a whole different story. If they're having a bad day, they may crap on your head just for the sake of feeling better.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there's people that are tuning in right now just to fuck with us. Listen, so you don't know where the What Up H-Town came from because that is literally the signature of the show. And it just happened organically, I guess. You just were like, I need to come up with a way to start the show and did it. And that was it.
Yeah. I mean, it really did because, I mean, you think about it. My whole pet peeve all the way through this, when the Rockets won championships or the Comets won championships or the broadcasters I had, they scripted all of their big calls.
Yeah.
And I hated that. I was like, you can take bullet point notes. And you and I've talked about this, but don't script the whole thing
Right.
because fans can tell. It sounds forced. You don't get the emotion. I joke with Foley being the male Katharine Hepburn, but you think about some of Foley's great calls, and when he just yelled, "Mario, my man," and just threw his fist in the air, it was like people remember Mario, my man.
Yeah. No, it's true though.
No, wait a minute. True story on that. So we're in Phoenix. It's Game 7. I was overseeing all the TV from the truck back then. So it was an NBC game. So we didn't do the game. So when we didn't do the game, Tim Frank, who's now the head of PR for the NBA, was our PR guy. And so they would find seats for us. Well, it just so happened that night, he set me up right behind Rudy in the row behind the coaches. And then to my right was the radio guys in case they needed anything. And then post game, I would actually do interviews in the locker room or whatever. And we're sitting there in the middle of all that. And Rudy was a guy, and I've told you this, and he said to us on the air, Rudy treated us like family. So he trusted, so he didn't care. So I was listening to huddles, and I was seeing all this stuff. And that play really wasn't drawn for Mario.
It wasn't. That's awesome.
And there was time on the clock, and he was really supposed to pass it. And it was one of those no, yes. And then when he hit it and did the kiss of death, we all lost our minds. We're all jumping up and down. So Gene Peterson's doing the call, and he's screaming. And I look, and Jeff Hagedorn was doing the studio. He's on the other side of Foley. Foley stands up and yells, "Mario, my man." Well, about halfway through the word man, the biggest green loogie you've ever seen in your life came out like a frog from Foley's mouth. And it landed on the scorer's table on a piece of paper. So we're all screaming, and Foley goes, "Mario, my man!" And this thing flies out, and it hits the table. And it's like one of those moments in time where everyone stops what they were doing and goes, and looks down. And Foley goes, "Yes!" And we all just went back to screaming again. And I didn't want to look down again and figure out what happened to the movie. But yeah, that was
that's fun. First of all, you heard it here first. That's good insight. It was not meant for Mario.
The ball was supposed to keep moving, and then he just decided, that's a good look. I'm taking that thing.
This is mine. But that was what they were taught, though. It's kind of like Rockets ball now. Rudy was the kind of guy, right, that if you had an open shot, take it. I trust you. You're here for a reason. You know, shoot, unless you're Olajuwon at the three-point line, and even then he wouldn't have been upset. But yeah, so that's cool that happened. So I'm just going to tell you, we're already getting a bunch of questions. And by the way, there are apparently, and I don't know this because I don't see all the numbers at the time, but we're setting records for the YouTube chat and so forth. So yeah, they're in. They want the dirt. They want the details because there are some good questions already. So I told them we would get to them all. I promised that. But I want to know, and Eric's question really is a good question to kind of kick it off. But you and I, when I got the call, it was like, hey, I want you to audition for this spot on midday. Are you interested? And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm interested. And so they were like, so it's going to be you and Joel on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then it's going to be Joel and Travis on Mondays and Fridays. Travis Johnson, former Texan. And I was like, all right, that's weird, but okay. So we started doing that, and I got to tell you, it wasn't easy for any of us. And that was I think if we could all go back and do it, I think it would have been a lot better on everybody involved if they would have just picked two people and said fuck it. Because to go that long was really, really difficult for everybody.
And we didn't know how long it was going to go on that way. And so much like you, when I left the Rockets, I had some time to figure out what I was going to do next. And I had recruiters and everybody telling me, you got to get on LinkedIn. I had no interest in doing LinkedIn. And it seemed like a bunch of BS to me.
Yep.
24 hours after I finally set up a LinkedIn chat, Todd reached out to me. 24 hours after that, I was in the office.
Wow.
24 hours after that, I was told, you're going to start working with everybody on the station so we can figure out who you work best with. And I was like, I still didn't know what that meant or if there was going to be a slot or a job. I was just like, all right, cool. Well, tell me where I got to go and what I got to do, and we'll do it. So I started working with everyone. Mm-hmm. And I'll say this, probably, and you can put the timeline on it, But probably our best day in the first year plus was the first time we worked together
I would
because
agree 100% with that.
we
100%
didn't
with that.
know we didn't know each other. We didn't know anything about each other. We had never met, but we did it from A&M from the press
Yep.
box. We met Dave South, and we messed with so many people that called in and thought they had. We asked them if they had gun racks with Cowboys logos in the back window, and I was like, that was a whole lot of fun.
It was.
But so then after that though, then we get to what you said. Then eventually it was like, hey, we're thinking about this, and this is the way we're going to set it up. And I'm like, I had met Travis Johnson maybe in passing in the hallways at 6'10" once or twice, but I didn't know either one of you guys.
Right.
And I never knew Nick. I'd never met Nick before, and they said, Nick's going to be your producer. All right, cool. But I don't know what all of, we had
What's
no
the plan?
clear-cut
Yeah.
understanding of any of it.
Yep.
I got strange people, by the way, walking over my front lawn, looking in my backyard. I don't know what's going on, but yeah.
Do you want to get your gun and go shoot him real quick? Take this with you though, so I can get this murder live on YouTube. That would be.
Yeah, I just hope all the dogs are inside, but I don't know. Okay.
All right, so they put us together, and immediately it's awkward as fuck because there's these different. It's almost like Survivor, right? Like there's factions forming, and there's you and I got along great when we did the one show, but then once they decided we were going to start doing shows, it got weird because I was already working with Shock on Sundays, and Shock and I had been together for 3 years as a show and as co-hosts, and you and Travis vibed like right away, and you had known him previously, so. Then you and I start doing shows, and it starts getting awkward because we don't know how to take each other. I didn't know how to handle your jokes and the way you did shit, and you didn't know how to handle my jokes and the way I did things. And instead of us just talking about it, see, here was the problem, and I fully believe this, and I don't know if you do, but part of the problem initially was they put 3 alpha males on a show. Actually, 4 alpha males on a show. Because Nick's an alpha.
Believed they were communicators, but they didn't have a real belief in communication. I would say
yes. So it had you're an alpha, Travis is an alpha, I'm an alpha, Nick's an alpha. So nobody was going to play second fiddle to anybody else. Nobody was going to take the back seat. Nobody was going to, if somebody was challenged, nobody was backing down.
Right. And everybody was going to talk to everybody else, but we weren't going to talk to each other about anything and everything.
Exactly. So we're on air. I would fuck with you. You wouldn't like it. You would fuck with me. I wouldn't like it. There was just this constant clash, and I think if we're all being honest, you at a point you were like, fuck, I don't want to work with that dude, and I was like, I don't want to work with that dude. But I think everybody else saw when they're together, it's really good radio. They just got to get along. If they get along off air, this will be fucking great.
And like you said, I mean, if we're going to be honest, look. There's 2 different issues and aspects of this, which is one, we had never known each other, let alone work together. And that's a huge thing that a lot of people learn the hard way doesn't work normally.
Yep.
Second thing is, like you mentioned, you had Sunday Game Day. You had Shock. You guys were great friends. So the fact of the matter is, I at one point had a conversation with Todd and Jong and said, I don't deserve to be in the middle of this because I get it. Barry and Shock, the next progression was open slot, going local. I don't blame them. I know they think it should be them. But I was like, y'all picked me. Y'all called me. And y'all put me in. Now you put me in the middle of something that I didn't ask for, and it's pissing me off.
And it wasn't fair to you. And at the time, I didn't see that, but it wasn't fair to you because it's not like you walked in and said, hey, fuck those guys, break them up. I'm replacing Shock. That just wasn't your – but – at the time, you've been working with somebody for 3 years, and there was I'll be honest, there was a lot of guilt involved with me, grinding it out with Shock for all that time, and then all of a sudden I get thrusted into this opportunity, and he didn't, and I feel bad because I'm like, fuck, man, that we both were grinding. In fact, he was there a year before me, and so there was a ton of guilt on my part. And I guess it was that just created more of the resistance of, this doesn't feel right. Even
Well, the good
though
news is it
when
didn't
we
bother him.
clicked,
And,
no,
and and he and I once had the conversation too, where I just said to him, I was like, "Bro, look, I didn't do this. I don't wish this on you, and I totally get where you are coming from because I'd probably be the same way. Have a lot of animosity."
yeah, and so there was just this clash, I think, of personalities and alphas and expectations, right? Like when I would fuck with you, I think you took it personal, even though it wasn't. But I will say that it was more mean spirited than it should have been, probably because of the dynamics that was going on off
Sure.
the air.
Yep.
And then, if you would fuck with me back or something would happen, and especially when I wasn't there, because when I wasn't there, I didn't feel included, or it was never felt like my show to begin with.
Yep.
And so there was just this fucking always this strange
Even though the
vibe.
title clearly showed that it was a group effort. I mean, I didn't even call it the Joel Blank Show, but because it didn't make anything any easier. Let's
That
make
didn't
that
help.
very clear as well.
Let's be real. That did not help, because then I was
And I
like,
didn't ask
really?
for that.
No, but at the time, I don't know that, and so it was like, man, what the fuck is going on? I didn't want to feel like I was, and this came up, and I don't remember who said it, but it pissed me off. I didn't want to feel like Ed McMahon. That was the thing, and that's what I was starting to feel like. It was like, well, this is all about Joel when this really should be about the team. And this was while Travis was there, and then the first year after you and I was doing the show, it still kind of felt like I was the sidekick. And then one day you actually said that, and not knowing that I was feeling that way.
No idea. Yeah.
And I lost my shit off air because it bothered me so much. But that was it. It was like we were all trying to figure out how we belonged and how we fit together. And bro, it could not have been easy for you to have to deal with Travis on Mondays and Fridays and expectations that he's wanting this job.
Right.
And then what the good and the bad that he would bring. And then you would have to switch partners twice in a week. You would have to go from one guy to the other. Then he's there for 3 days. Then you got to go back to the other guy again. That could not. What was that like for you? Because I didn't have to do that. I would show up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I would do the Sunday show. But that was okay because it was different. I had been doing it. That could not have been easy for you. What was it like?
Nick and I talked about it a long time after, but while we were going through it, it was like we had a certain vibe to where I knew stuff that you wanted to talk about, or I knew how to get you into certain stuff. But then I also knew once you got into it, I didn't have to do anything. With Trap, it was totally opposite. I had to prod and I had to dig, and I had to throw about 5 things on the wall before 2 things stuck, so that one thing I could go to and one I had in my back pocket. So it was totally different. And you're right. I mean, and because it wasn't like 3 in a row, 2 in a row, it's like you bounce around and you forget. So you come in prepped a certain way or ready for a certain way, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I forgot. It's a Tuesday or it's a whatever. And then you switch gears, and it's totally different. So yeah, it was. I mean, there were a lot of rough spots.
It really was. When I look back at where we're at now and how great things really are for the three of us and the show, and how great. I mean, like we would have never done this the first year of The Usual Suspects. There's no way you and I.
It would have been.
It would have been a disaster. I mean, it would have been great for the listeners because it would have been just chaos and turmoil and name calling. But we're genuinely doing this as friends now. And I think the most telling thing is that you and I can sit down and have these rational conversations about it and not run from it, not be.
We were.
Look, that was just part of the past. I mean, that's what happened. It's what happened, and we're way better now as friends off air than we ever were. So I think it says a lot about us. But did I lose your video? I think you lost your video. I think he lost his video. All right, I'm going to scroll through the chat while we're waiting on Joel to get back. And I'm going to write down some of y'all's questions. Man, a bunch of y'all showed up and showed out. Yeah, we lost his video. He'll be right back. Let's see. Does Joel have any cocaine stories about the Rockets? Hugo, I doubt it. I mean, I'll ask him. But I doubt it. I'm trying to catch up here on the chat. It's busy. I have, let's see, how much did Lisa hate Barry? We'll get to that. You back, buddy? What's up? Can y'all see me now? Hi. How? That's much better. Sorry about that. When Joel froze and left, it fucked up the call on Skype. I use Skype. Let me get him back in here. Let me see if I can get him added back. Apparently, I'm just glad he had IT trouble because me having the IT problems, fucking so angry with the Mob Crush peoples right now. Let me see if I can find Joel on Skype. There we go. And y'all put in your questions and we'll get to them all. We are open book tonight for sure. All right, I sent him another invite. He should be joining in a second. No, we're not taking a shot. Cool, good. By the way, man, thanks to everybody that joined. I don't even know if I can get to you all. There's like several people. But I did see my man Andy Huggins in the house. Hug Dog jumped on the YouTubes. Appreciate that. I know he hates when I call him Hug Dog, but you guys in the chat are in the presence of greatness. I see you, AR Platinum. What up, Playboy? David. Excuse me, Walt. What's up, man? Yeah, that was weird. We didn't even start this with What Up H-Town. I should have done it just to make him angry. He should be back in just a second. Let me see here. Says you're unavailable. Try again. Texting. That's where we're at. We're doing this. Let's see. Join call. All right. Added you again. This is great live. A good thing this isn't like. Good thing we don't have rules and it's just hanging out, shooting the shit. Why? Oh, hey Donna, what's up, lady? Man, there's a lot of y'all in here. Yeah, and then it tanked. So that's what happens sometimes. Deal with it. We'll see if he's gonna join. It keeps trying to connect. Oh, well, looks like we lost Joel for good here. If y'all want to ask me questions, and I'll answer them until he gets back. I don't mind. What do we got here? Barry and Joel, when can I get a suspect shirt? All right, Brandon, you know the rules here, Playboy. You have to be at a live remote in order to get a shirt. Now, I do happen to have a couple. I don't even know how the fuck I got these. But I've got a medium and two larges. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do something. Maybe I'll bribe you guys to go join my Twitch channel or some shit. Help me make affiliate, and then I'll send you some the suspect shirts that I have. Oh, dude, you went to Chef Machete, Joe? That's badass, man. Chef Machete's the shit, dude. I know Walt said he went the other day, and I know that was delicious, Walt. Let me see if I can get Joel back here. Let me try to call him directly. I'll just do that. Good question, TJ. Uh, and I'm gonna let Joel answer his. Write that down because that is a really good one. Now that if you get, for those of you that didn't see it in the chat, now that y'all squashed the beef, what do y'all respect and like most about each other? I'm gonna write that down because it'll pass through. I told him to reboot, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, John, I appreciate you being on there, man. That's cool. Oh, Emmanuel, you've been watching the stream too? Thanks, man. I'm enjoying the shit out of that. I was thinking about doing it tonight, but I'm for sure gonna do it tomorrow at 10:30. So y'all come hop on. I'm at a live remote. Both of you are remote at your houses. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Brandon's drunk, chat. Good job, Brandon. Where's my jersey from Carter? Hugo, you didn't win, buddy. I'm sorry. Eric Resendez won. He even said it. So I think he's going to send it to me, and then I'm going to send it to Eric. I think that's how it's going to go. How much is Joel cussing right now, Johnny? I'm sure lots of curses. I just got damn it. Let's see here. Oh, we had so much to get to. God bless. We may have to do this again in May. Oh, yes, Walt. I think y'all should do. I think that would be badass. There should be like a suspects meetup. Back in the day when I used to listen to 1560, as listeners, we would do meetups. We didn't even need the fucking radio guys involved. We would all just get together and do shit. And we would invite the radio guys every once in a while. They'd show up. So if you do put something together, invite us. Tell Joel or myself, Nick, and maybe one or both of us or all three of us could make it out. Because that shit is fun, man. I still have friends. In fact, Lance and I were talking about that in our live chat. I still have friends to this day that I met just being a listener to 1560. And I'm friends with them now, including Cody Stutes. So y'all put something together, man. Rah! Look, they're speaking of friends from the 1560 era. What's up, Roland Silva? He knows. He was on the original 1560. See, y'all, you're in the presence of an OG right there with Roland Silva. He goes back to the 1560 message board days. Ro, what was I forget your handle. What was your handle? Yeah, I know, Chris. Fucking out of crown. Kill me now. This fucking sucks. I have a bottle of Crown Mash left, and I don't know how good that's going to be with Diet Coke. I don't think you're supposed to drink that with Diet Coke. I could be wrong. Let me try to add Joel here again. What up, Josh Fernandez? What up, Playboy? Twin Peaks Shenandoah gets back. Yeah, I'm down for that, David. That's up here in my area. No, you got to do something more centrally located, though. More centrally located. If you do it more central, then you'll have more suspects show up. Better chance for a better meetup. We would do all kind of cool shit, man. Renegade Paloozas. Yeah, Roland, that was the shit back in the day, man. That was a lot of fun. Trying to catch up here. All right, how many of y'all Crown Vanilla? No thanks, Chris. That doesn't sound delicious at all. How many of y'all have MLB The Show? R Silva, that's what it was. R Silva at 1560. Mine was Macca, Macka. We would just go have lunch together. I remember we all went to what was the burrito place we went to? We all just went and had burritos one day. And that's when I got the burrito that was like as big as my forearm and ate it. I was a fat ass back then too. Yeah, NASCAR Johnny, you do need to come from Austin, damn it. All right, let me try to call Joel. I'm going to lose video for a second, y'all, but let me call this dude on the phone. Hold on. All right, if you have MLB The Show on, did you reboot your Skype? Okay. All right, I'm trying to add you to the thing here. Well, I added you. I don't know. It just hung up. It was weird. No, David, I'm not putting Joel's number out there for everybody. I'm not doing that. Crazy. They're all trying to cause a rift between us. Right. Joel said we don't need that. We do that on our own. All right. Hugo has it. Who else? I know Eric Resendez has it. Oh, we're talking about the MLB The Show. You got it? Huh. Well. 42 people are watching me talk to you on the phone. This is called live chat. This is when I said no rules. Fuck it. I meant no rules. This is exactly what we're doing. Any new kicks, Barry? No, Terrence. I don't have any new kicks. I tried to get those Jordan 5s, and because there was like I guess I don't know what they call it, what kind of drop it was. Surprise drop. Didn't happen. May 2nd, though, they come out. Yeah, David, I know this isn't the best YouTube. What do you want me to do? Did you lose the whole thing, Joel? Uh huh. Go to applications and then scroll down to Skype. No, just on you. Were you on your iPad or were you on? Yeah, just go to applications. The folder. There should be like if you can open you can either open your hard drive or just click on the applications icon and then scroll down. You should see Skype at the bottom. And it should be in alphabetical order. Too much porn, Chris says. Joe says, damn Green Bay Packers fan. I know. I should just switch to Zoom and get all the suspects in and we'll just do a fucking Zoom chat. I do need more crown, David. That's a fact. Do you see it in applications? On your bar, on your menu bar at the bottom down there, off to the far right, you should have a little icon that's for your applications. Nope. Keep going to the right. To the right. Your other right. Your other right. Keep going. By the trash can. All right. Can you just open the hard drive? Fuck. Well, that was it. Good night, folks. Barry's going all IT. This is a real life IT call, guys. All right. Have you rebooted, sir? No. If you just like on your desktop, there's not a fucking picture of a hard drive. Okay. I don't know. Go on the left. You see the face that looks like a smiley face? The Finder? Okay, click on that. All right. On the left, does it show you? What does it show you? There you go. Click on applications. Scroll down to the S's and click on Skype. They're going to roast the shit out of you because this is all. I'm not going to tell them to control alt delete. It's a Mac, Brandon. Oh, your Skype got deleted? Wow. All right. Well, this was fun. You deleted Skype. I can't believe you deleted Skype, and I have proof on YouTube. All right. Well, you know what, Joel? We have an opening May 1st. Let's circle back. Do part 2. Oh, what? You found it? I do still have it, Hugo. I still got my IT. I still got it. You know what we could do, Joel? I could just video chat with you on my phone and show it to the camera on my laptop. Oh my gosh. What happened here? What do we got going?
Got it now.
Oh, hey! Oh, what? Holy shit! It's Joe Blake back
I
again.
didn't ask for that. I hope you can edit that when people go back if they watch this after the fact, because that was horse shit.
No, that was the best part of this whole
so it couldn't
chat.
be me. I was mid-sentence, so it definitely wasn't me. Now I need a drink.
That was the best part of this whole fucking chat is that you ended up having tech issues after you fucked with me for the first
I don't think
10
it was
minutes.
initially because I was still calling you and I heard it ring and I was still on the screen and it kept saying Barry is unavailable.
Oh my god. Well, that's because I was still waiting on you. I had created a new call and hit add Joel, and then it was just waiting on you to join. So that's probably why. But what a goddamn mess that was,
I
right?
don't even know where we were, but yes, continue.
We were talking about the turmoil of a 3-man or a
Oh,
4-man
yeah.
show and
Yeah.
splitting it, and you know how we made that work and how difficult it was for everybody. Um, and by the way, everybody wants you to do the hammer for the video that they want to see because they only get to listen to the hammer, they don't get to see it. So, are you gonna do it?
No mucho dinero. I still got you, and I'll hammer them for $18.14. Ha ha!
He brought a fucking hammer. You knew.
I
You
did. I've
knew.
been putting up pictures in my
Oh my
office,
goddamn.
and it's happened to be on the desk, so it was organic.
Holy fuck! You had a hammer there.
Look, they're nails. I got nails and everything. I mean,
Motherfucker, that was
pictures
worth
and
the
stuff.
tech problems. You're all welcome. That was so worth the fucking tech problems, Joel.
Yeah, I got a Carmelo Anthony is on my wall.
You didn't do the twitchy eye though, and that's okay.
No, I don't want to take personal shots. He may sometimes sponsor the show, so I don't know what you're talking about.
He does sponsor the TV show, so I do have to be careful sometimes. But that never stopped you before. Let's be real. Oh my God.
That was before we had Twitch in the studio.
Yeah, you blew up
I
the
knew
chat.
that would get you every single time, so that's when I would do it.
You blew up the chat, by the way. Everybody's in there. Walt's got hammer emojis he's posting. That was fucking. If you're gonna rebound after a tech problem, that's why you're who you are. That's why you're a professional. That's why you're Joe Blink.
But I still am not taking full blame. I'm not taking blame for that. I was still connected when it went out, so I don't know what happened.
All I know is that my shit didn't quit until you hung up the call. So it was. And I was back waiting on you. All I know is
I was here at 7 o'clock when your shit wasn't working. So, 6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Okay.
Call it what you will.
Touche.
I saw the ripples in the back of your chair and your new chair as well as your new phallic symbol, microphone.
This office is a fucking mess. It is so, because I'm trying to redo it all. But, oh, God, it's been a mess. 12:30 last night, I'm drilling holes in my desk all over the place so I can run wires. It's been a nightmare. All right, let's get in. So let's put a bow on the beginning of the show because it wasn't pleasant for us. And I think I've told you this. And if not, I think I told you once. But I tell you what, the turning point for me is that we're struggling to get along, and it's not going well off air. I think on air we were still doing well. I think on air we were kicking ass and taking names and making good radio. And that is the thing that I admire about because we had all those problems off air with the clash of personalities and issues and everything else. But when the light went red and it said on air and Nick yelled hot in our ear, we tried to be as professional as possible. Even we would just be, and you and I had a few screaming matches. Screaming matches.
Someone thought I was Patrick Creighton.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, because we're both very loud too, and so we would get to screaming and storming out at a break or whatever, and no one was the wiser. And then Nick would be like hot, and then we'd be like, we would be courteous to each other. I wouldn't mess with you if we were fighting. It was only when we weren't fighting because then I didn't feel like I would go too over the top. But I remember when I would first mess with you. It wasn't just to fuck with you. It was because of what was going on. You know what I mean? Like sure. It was the tension of it all, and it was a release for me. But I remember driving to Beaumont, talking to the great Dave Tepper, and I told Dave, I said, I don't know how this is going to work, Dave. I don't know if I can do this. It's difficult. I've never been in a situation like this. I don't know what to do. And Dave told me, he goes, look, man, Barry, when you won Rock the Mic, 3.5 years ago or 4 years ago, whenever it was, if I had told you the day you won it that you're going to get a midday show in the sixth largest media market in the country doing sports talk radio, but that you and your co-host weren't going to get along, what would you have told me? And I was like, I would have told you at the time, I'll make it work because I want a show. I want to be in radio. I want to do sports talk radio. He goes, make it work. And Joe, that made all the difference for me. I was like, fuck, you know what? Then I started thinking of it from your perspective. I was like, he didn't ask for this. Because I was being selfish the way I was thinking. I was being selfish from my side. So then I started looking at it from your side. And that's when I realized, well, fuck, this dude was just thrusted into this weird ass situation where he had two different co-hosts, and one of them is being a dick. That was me. So he's going to, of course, make an alliance with the other one, but it maybe wasn't going as well as he wanted to then. And then he's got to switch back and forth. He doesn't know anybody at the station. And that's when I was like, you know what? This has a lot to do with my attitude too. And that's when I changed. And I think you picked up on that. You changed. And we both just started getting along a lot better and being more open and transparent and honest. We had some good discussions. So I credit Dave Tepper with a complete 180 and my entire attitude on what we were doing. Because we were still doing good on radio. We were doing well in the ratings and everything. But it was just the off-air that made it better.
There's only one day that I think we went into the studio and I wasn't completely sure it was going to be professional. And I don't know if you remember which day it was. But there was only one day because I think that was the biggest thing I took pride in. While we were figuring it out, if we were going to figure it out, I just knew that when the red light went on, no one could tell that there was a single thing wrong. And that was great. But there was one day when the three of us, from the production meeting, just all lost it. And we looked at the clock, and literally we had a minute and a half. And we went in there, and that was the only time when I was plugging in my mic and my headphones. I wasn't sure. I was ready for anything, but I was not sure it was going to be professional when we went on. But from that point forward, I think, because here's the other thing you guys got to understand. When you're working for a professional basketball team, they want you to kill everybody off the air. But the one thing that you never, ever do is you don't mention your competition. You don't take shots at your competition. You don't start none of
or your coworkers, which is what we do at ESPN.
Right. So when I got there, and then you remember, AJ and I got into a knockdown dragout that literally went to private chat with Hemingway-type paragraphs being going back and forth because that was another adjustment for me. And truth be told, I could take a lot of stuff, but what I couldn't take was people didn't know me enough to know my background, to know that, like, the issues I had with weight was because I was a pork rind going up and I was abused and bullied and all these other things for a lot of years in my younger life. So that was a hot button for not just me, my whole family. Or like the age thing, because my dad was age discriminated against and he lost his job because of it. And growing up, it put us in a hellhole. And so essentially I was raised with the belief that, look young, be young, don't tell anybody, and don't know, then they don't have to know. And then it was all my business was being thrown out there without asking me. And then it was, this. And the whole thing with AJ, truth be told, as I told you on the air the other day, was I didn't go to authority. I didn't go to management. I was passing through the hall, going to the bathroom before we started our show. And one of the interns goes, "Hey, I was working last night. Did you hear the blitz?" And I go, "No, I didn't." And they're like, "Well, damn, they ripped you a new asshole. They were killing you all night, blah, 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 blah." And Jong's desk was right across from the intern. And the more the kid was talking, I just looked at Jong and I go, when's that going to stop? I mean, I don't even know the guy that well, and he busts my balls every day. Went to the bathroom, came back in. We went on the air. Next thing I know, like, people are coming down the hall going, AJ's pissed. He's coming at you. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. I was like, for what? And then I find out that the story got twisted to say that I went to management and was whining like a little bitch about AJ. Not true. But then you've got the following, the blitzers and some of the bloggers that we all know that have mixed it up with plenty, direct messaging me, telling me what I should do, what I did wrong. And I'm like, no, y'all don't know me.
Yeah, you don't know what's going on at the station. That's difficult to.
So it was an adjustment all the way around.
Yeah, that's.
And the worst, not bad for you, but bad for me, was y'all knew each other. Y'all knew each other from the station. Y'all knew how things went over there. I was the complete alien. I came in. I mean, I had a couple relationships, but for the most part, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know what was acceptable, non-acceptable, all the relationships. I learned on the fly.
Yeah, it was a crazy first year and a half. It was weird, and I felt. I mean, now looking back, again, like I said, complete different perspective on it from your part, from my part. It was this weird storm. But what's amazing, and again, I think we're maybe tooting our own horn a little too much, but if people realize how bad it had gotten,
oh yeah, yeah,
for the level of radio that we were, because usually you could still go on air and be professional, but the shows are gonna suck. And I felt like we were still doing a good job finding, because you still have to find your chemistry on air. Even you can hate each other's fucking guts.
Right.
You could just
right.
And we wouldn't talk that much. You and I never talked. We didn't.
No.
And to
That's
be
what
able,
I said. We were communicators, but we didn't communicate with each other at all.
No. And once we did start to open up and be like, hey man, I didn't appreciate you doing that. And then, either one of us would tell each other that once we got comfortable, and it made the world a difference. It'd be like, hey, don't do that on air. Or, hey, I was trying to do this, or so that made the world a difference, because then we didn't let it fester. Because I'm passive aggressive. I think you're a little passive aggressive, but once we hit that point, then we're going to talk shit and holler and scream, because we're both very similar. And stubborn. Like, if you fuck with me, I'm gonna fuck with you. Like,
competitive, yeah.
Yep, all that. So I hats off, I say, to us and what we were able to accomplish and overcome that, because I know, and I do have to give credit to Todd, even though he's maybe responsible for some of the things that happened in a weird way. But one thing he did recognize was the chemistry we could create on air that we had, and the kind of radio that we could put out. And so he stuck with it, man.
I mean, flat out. He just looked me in the eye and he said, I don't care if you guys hate each other or not. You have more potential and already have more chemistry on air that make good radio, that you guys just need to realize that and get over the rest. I mean,
yeah.
I think, and along the way too, I remember when David Gow used to give tours. And Nick told us the one day he's giving a tour and he goes, well, there's Heckle and Jekyll. Those two guys absolutely hated each other when they first started, and now look at them. And I was like, at first I was like, he really said that? And I was like, what? And we both started thinking about it. You know what? It's pretty right. So
yeah. Look, now Josh Fernandez said that's crazy. I felt like any tension that we heard was just part of the show, like two people taking opposite sides of an argument to further a discussion. That's the case now. But back in the day, if you heard tension, it was real, but we never let it escalate. We would bring it back to be fun or whatever. We did our best, at least, to do that. But now, it's to further an argument, and we still disagree.
In breaks, you could tell by body language, facial expressions. One would storm out of the room, but when the light went back on, we were doing our job.
Yeah, the tension now is real. You and I still will argue. We'll disagree on air. I'll piss you off. You'll piss me off on air, off air. But the difference between then and now is, one, I know it's not intentional or purpose, 99%, literally 100% of the time, because I don't think either of us would try to sabotage the show at this point. We both love where we're at and what we're doing. So sometimes you're just going to fuck up. Sometimes you're going to, do something to upset your partner. And you just, hey man, I'm sorry about that. Now we recognize. Now we're a lot better at going,
and we
I'm sorry.
apologize for it. Yeah. Whereas before we might go, I got him. Let's
yep.
Go.
And then that's it. Got him. I felt good. I go home because I got him today. Yeah. And now it's like, bro, that's my bad. I didn't mean to throw that at you. I didn't mean to step on this. I didn't mean to talk over you. I didn't mean to interrupt you. So it's a lot better, but the tension is real. I don't want Josh and everybody listening to think that we don't argue on air and mean it. We absolutely disagree on shit.
But that's the thing. You just said it right, because we don't argue, we disagree. And we have discussions. We don't have animosity, which is like when we talk about it's just sports. So we're discussing things. If you get to the point where it's such a passionate argument that you want to text us and take pot shots and call us names with, motherfucker in the middle of it, then you take it more seriously than we are.
Yeah.
But we will definitely discuss the hell out of something, but we're not going to make it so serious and real that it's like life altering, where a lot of people think it is. And a lot of people think there has to be a winner in any discussion or argument. That's why now we've learned to say we agree to disagree. Whereas before, we'll take 3 segments and look for blood. So
that's so true. That's so true. Now, since we're on it, and it was a question from the listeners too, and unfortunately I'm not going to get to ask Lisa, which was going to be, I thought, going to be a fun discussion. Plus, she has so many fans.
Credit to you. I was surprised because she normally doesn't do that kind of stuff. And she was actually looking forward to doing it. And then with everything that came through with Channel 2, and it was funny, it's kind of my fault. Yeah. But she was supposed to do a Facebook Live with Channel 2 leading up to the job.
Yep.
And I was like, Lisa, they have non-competes in TV and all these things. I was like, I don't know. You should look into that and see if you can do that or not. And they went, not only can you pause that and not do that, don't do anything until everything is clear. You're cleared from your last agreement. You're into your next agreement. So that's when I called you. And I was like, yeah, bro, I hate to say this, but.
Yeah, Chris and everybody else that was looking forward to it. So it's not going to happen. Lisa was scheduled to join me next Thursday, April 30th. And I was going to ask her. I wanted to talk to her because I think through proxy, just through, normal husband and wife conversation, how much did she hate me at first?
I don't know that she hated you, but because obviously, you vent to your significant other.
Of course.
But I think that the benefit was she's worked with a lot of partners over the years. Mm-hmm. So she could base a lot of her opinions on what she had already been through, who she got along with, who she didn't. There was plenty of partners she had on air that she was doing the same thing that we had done.
Really?
So it was more or less like, hey, this is what I do when my co-host says this, does this, blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the day, it was, again, too, hey, you guys got to worry about the fact that no one cares if you get along or not.
Yeah.
But your bosses care if your ratings suck.
Yeah.
And
if you get along, your ratings will be better, even better than what we were getting before. Yeah, and that's.
But you think about it, Barry. I mean, you think about so many people in this market doing what we do, and maybe a lot of them knew each other before, but didn't know each other that well, didn't survive because of those things. We know of too many people and too many relationships where there was hatred deep. And guess what?
Well, it's all just because of Adam Clanton. It was just all Adam Clanton. Everybody else, I mean, I said it before.
I mean, there were other guys that didn't get along.
True, but
Josh Ennis and Rich Lord didn't get along.
Well, but again, Josh, that's another guy that I don't think anybody got along with Josh. Josh had to pick his circle. He had to bring in his girlfriend and Jim Mudd, who everything I hear about Jim Mudd is
a good dude.
Good stuff. But he had to get people around him that could tolerate him because he's a different kind of guy. Now, off air, Josh is the opposite of what he is on air.
Well, Josh and I have always got along, but the one thing Josh knows is that I don't take any shit from him.
Uh-huh.
So if you go out and think that I'm going to be part of your shtick on air, rest assured I'm not going to wait till you get off air to go at you. And I've had people tell me, hey, heads up, Josh is busting on you right now on the air. And I'll just text them and go, something you want to talk about right now? If you don't like the fact that I rhymed in one segment of when I did studio shows and you put my name out there and my name's coming out of your mouth, then how about you do studio shows and tell me you could do it better? What you're going to do is base it on the fact that in my highlight shows, my shtick was that things rhymed. Guess what? I could pick on your shtick and I could go all day, but I don't. And then we had an understanding. But, like so many people, their persona on air is a 180 from who they are off the air.
Yeah, a lot of times you get that. And that's one other thing I like about at our station. I think most everybody you see and listen to on air at ESPN 97.5 is the same way on air that they are off air. And I really, if you could go through the fucking lineups, Lance is the same dude.
Yeah.
John is the same dude. Raheel is the same dude. Dale is the same dude. Charlie is the same guy. Now, Charlie will cut up a little bit more off air than he will on. Charlie is very professional. He gives you a professional radio guy. Like the other day when we were talking and I was giving him shit about getting pizza from the Texans, he sent me a text. And he was like, I got ribeye. So that's Charlie. He was fucking around busting balls off air, when he could. But then, so after Charlie, it's us. I think we keep it real. This is what you see is what you get. With Fred and AJ, it's the same. What you see is what you get. I think Creighton is the same guy on air, Jason Brett. So I think, to our credit as a station, if nothing else, like if AJ talks shit to you on air, AJ is going to talk shit to you off air. If I talk shit to you on air, I'm going to talk shit to you. And when I say talk shit, I mean bust balls. I mean, fuck with you, right? But I think that's across the board. Where you're right, Josh Ennis would take runs at people, and then when he would see them, what's up, buddy? You can't do that, man. You can't. That's not okay. Like, right? That's just not cool. If you don't like me, just don't like me on air and off air.
You mentioned with Charlie, and our running joke is the fact that Charlie and I are friends because we're friends on Twitter. But the thing is what people don't see. What you know is when we walk in the studio, Charlie's going to take shots at me just like anybody else would at the station because he's comfortable and he feels that way. And if he didn't do that, then I'd feel like there was something wrong. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that as long as you keep it real, I think that at the end of the day, you can sleep well knowing that I just was who I always am, as opposed to I've seen too many people in the business that, and I've told you both NBA type guys and just talk show guys that if that's not who you are, people are going to find out. And when they do, it's like it goes back to the advice Lance gave me. Form a relationship on air with your listeners. Let them think like they know you and they know about you and they're connected to you. If you try and do all that and then they find out you were faking it the whole time,
you're just a fucking dickhead. Yeah. By the way, Roland Silva said congrats to you and Lisa on Lisa's new gig. They're happy for you there. So NASCAR Johnny wanted to know, was I going to reschedule Lisa? I will try. I don't know how long I'm going to keep doing these, by the way. This was just to kill time and have some fun. If I do these once this is over with, it might be a couple nights a week. I don't think I can maintain
every
7 nights a week.
But I was going to bust your balls and go, well, I mean, if this one has a life expectancy longer than the 15, then maybe she'll be available in June.
I made it fucking 6 episodes of the 15. 6. Now, I don't even think I posted the 6, by the way. I just did it. But no, I'm enjoying doing this because I think people get to see a different side of me and whoever joins me, like somebody was like, oh, Joel said motherfucker. Yeah. I mean, Joel, you curse. You're professional. You don't do it on air. You've gotten a lot more relaxed with it. I think just being around me, because me, I'm a potty mouth and I like to tiptoe that line. So I think you felt a little more freedom in being able to do that. But yeah, off air, Joel curses and shit
all the time. And the thing with my buddies, I do sometimes, and you got to catch yourself because you have to not do that on air, obviously, because we're not on satellite radio. But I'll be honest too. When things were going bad between us, my first inclination was I'm getting another job in the NBA. And truth be told, and I don't know if I ever told you this or not, I think Nick knows, but I thought I told you both. But I turned down a job. Let's just say that.
You did tell me that.
I turned down a job with another NBA team. And so at that point, I was like, look, just like we're talking about the NFL draft and draft picks and the background checks, I don't need someone because, as a matter of fact, it's part of the interview process. They went back and they started watching. So they scoured my accounts. They started asking questions about videos I had done or being comfortable saying certain things on the air. So I knew at that point that there was a different end game possible. So I had to be protective of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Then and that makes sense. And that's totally understandable too. Like if you're like Jeremy Branham, it was the same kind of dynamic with Jeremy. Although Jeremy and I, there was no tension because it was a different situation. But Shock had left on Sundays. He had moved to Baltimore, so they were like, "Well, we want to keep the show going. Here's Jeremy Branham. You guys do a show together." Well, Jeremy and I could not be further apart as far as personality goes. We could not be further apart as far as how we would be on air. But he never wavered and he never changed, and I never wavered and I never changed. And it was a weird mix, and it did okay. It was never great radio. But Jeremy was like, I don't want to do this. I want to do play-by-play. And so you're not fucking that up. You're not going to get me to say some shit that I'm going to regret. And to his credit, he stuck to it. And he's now, he does play-by-play for U of H and all that. And he's great at it. And I love Jeremy to death. So I'm so happy that it's worked out for him. But I get that, man. If you got, like for me, like when I tweet, sometimes I think, man, is this going to backfire on me? But I'm like, all I got to do is pull up a comedy show. There's no going back for me at this point. I mean, I've said the craziest shit that I could say and get away with on the radio, and I say way worse on Twitter and on stage. So I'm like, fuck it. At this point, I don't care.
I also have and you know this, I have the greatest like Joel police in the world that I go to bed next to every night because she got burned by it. I mean, she got burned because audio guy left her volume up in a commercial break one time, and she has a tendency to have a mouth like a trucker sometimes, and it got out, and so she's pretty good about that stuff too for me because I mean, literally, whoever said it is right. You should count to 90 seconds and review in your head many times before you hit tweet on anything you were thinking about doing. But I also told you the fact that it doesn't hurt you because in your other profession, cussing is like a verb. I mean, it's all the time. And so that's a little different than depending on, what you want to do with the rest of your career.
Somebody had a question for us. NASCAR Johnny wants to know, is that where you watch all your sports? Is in that man cave there? Or that's your office?
This is the office.
Yeah. You also have a man cave.
The man cave, is Nick has seen the man cave. The man cave is it's got an 80-something inch TV. And
is that your favorite room, or is the office your favorite room?
That's the nobody bothered. Taylor even knows. No one. The dogs can come in. That's about it. And once either you're in when the game or whatever I'm watching starts, or you're out. That's it.
It's fucked up. You're like, no one in but the dogs. That's it.
Story. It was, I want to say, I forget which playoff game a couple years ago, or it might have been the second Hail Mary game where the Packers Cardinals, where the Hail Mary got them into overtime and then they lost. And I thought all along the man cave was soundproof. And I am screaming and yelling and dropping
jerking off,
all kinds of stuff. And all of a sudden, we're going to overtime, and I open the door, and I look down in the living room, and Lisa's got, like, someone just robbed the house look on her face. And I don't know if Taylor was born yet or not. And I go, we're good, though, right? Because you can't hear me? She goes, babe, I'm surprised the neighbors haven't called 911.
You're a fucking crazy person.
They can hear you a block away. And I'm like, you can hear me outside this room? I thought when I shut the door, she goes, well, the walls might be soundproof, but the damn doors aren't because it's flying through. And I'm like, oh, great. So I learned my lesson the hard way.
Charles Pennington in the chat said Barry's mic is kind of penisy.
I told you it was a phallic symbol.
I know. Charles is just dreaming about it. He wants to put his mouth on this big old silver cock. I know you do, Charles. You say hammer him. Okay. What do y'all respect and like most about each other? Ooh, that's a difficult one.
I mean, the easy one for me is you don't cut corners or hold back. I mean, you are, like when we were talking about, you are who you are, but you're not afraid to say it either. The thing that I give you credit for is it's one thing to be real about sports takes, but it's another thing to have your feelings about someone or something, but in this case, in a lot of cases, about somebody, and don't care, just I'm going to say it exactly how I feel it and throw it out there. Because I'm telling you, that's 90% of people are gonna get scared before the microphone goes on.
Yeah, and you know what? But that goes back to there are times off air where you and me and Nick are hanging out in the parking lot or whatever, and I'll tell y'all something. Y'all be like, "You said that," or you'll be with me when I do it. So, but it goes back to what we were discussing earlier. I'm gonna be the same guy on air that I am off air. I'm gonna talk shit about Adam Clanton on air or on this podcast or when you and I are sitting at a table somewhere, and then when I see him at a Rocket game, if he wants to approach me, I'll tell him, I don't like you, bro. We don't have to be friends. I don't like you. You don't like me. Go fuck yourself. I'll go fuck off too. Okay. Like, but that's just how I've always been because I at least know I'm not fake. I mean, if any, I might be a dick. I might not be the best person in the world, but I'm not fake. I'm not a fake dude. What I respect most about you, and this is a high level of respect that I have for you, is that you have an amazing ability to not get rattled on air when shit is going wrong or you weren't prepared for something or something happens. And I don't think people understand how difficult of a skill that is in this business to be able to have someone screaming in your ear, something's happening, we got to stretch, we got to do this, we got to do that, or something's going wrong, or you get thrown something at the last second and you've got to fill a minute or 2 minutes, or you're waiting on a question, or this call screener's down, or No one, in my opinion, no one is better at getting out of that seamlessly and nobody noticing that shit is hitting the fan and all of it's going to hell than you. And I know that when we sit down to do a radio show, if everything goes to shit, you're going to lead us, you're going to get us from the beginning to the end, and no one's going to be the wiser. And I think that's an amazing skill set, and I respect the shit out of that, man, because that's a difficult thing to do because people panic. People freak out. It can be difficult, man, but like if there's a time where 45 seconds has to be filled, I just sit back. I'm like, fuck, Joel's got this. Joel's got this. And it's not easy to lead a show, bro. They
713-780.
No, listen, I have had to lead shows when you're out. And I realize that that's not my strong suit is to sit back and be what they call the reactor. You're a lead, I'm the reactor. It doesn't mean that any one of us is any more or less than the other on the show, but my job is to say funny things and to give the first opinion and hopefully create the dialogue. Your job is to get us into the topic, maybe throw something out that sparks the dialogue, and my job is to react to it, right? But it is a whole different animal in radio to lead. And not just because there's just getting a show from commercial to commercial, and then there's leading the show. And bro, you lead the show. And it's an amazing skill set. And
I think it's funny that Travis and other people that I've worked with have sent me messages to go, hey, I need some of your I need that when you go in and out. And I'm like, what?
You're so smooth at that.
And I go, you got to understand, I don't write that. It's the same way we talked about like highlight calls of the greatest, or if you're going to just win the champ, don't script it. I mean, and that's what Travis was working on 610 and he was doing some other things. He's like, bro, I need some of those. Can you give me some of those? I was like, dude, it's not like I write them and it's not something that I can write for you. It has to be what's right for you. Like what feels right, like coming out of your mouth the way you would say it. It's different, but
you're a wordsmith. And I mean that in the best sense possible is that you can fill a void. And Walt had it best. He says he loves the bit when Joe flawlessly breaks down shit he knows nothing about. Oh. Like when I'll be like, hey, Joe, what'd you think of the axe throwing contest? And you'll go for a fucking minute and a half on an axe throwing contest where you don't know the names, but you like, well, the one guy in the lumberjack gear, and you'll fucking do it. And it's fucking hilarious. But it shows your skill set. It shows a strength. And because you have more than just that strength, but that I respect because I know how difficult that is. And it's true, getting in and out of a break smoothly, getting in and out of a break where it sounds good and it sounds professional is not easy. Is that Taylor?
Yeah.
Get in there, Tay. Get in there, Tay. Oh. Your daddy screwed this up a long time ago. Don't worry about it. Get in there.
Here.
Hey.
Hold on.
Everybody say hi to Taylor.
No cussing.
No, come on now.
Say hi, Barry.
Hi, Barry.
Hi, Tay. How are you?
Good.
What are you getting to bed?
What are you holding there? What do you got?
My snuggly and my animals.
My snuggly and my animals.
Oh. Wow. What's your snuggly's name? Or your animal's name, excuse me.
That's Bingo from Bingo and Rolly from Puppy Dog Pals.
Oh, I should have known that, Tay. What's up with me, huh? Come on. How do I not know that? Thank you for joining us. Wave to everybody, Tay.
Say bye-bye.
Say bye.
Say good night. I'm going to bed.
Good night. I'm going to bed. It's really getting late.
Okay, it's really getting late.
It's getting late.
Shut the door.
Yeah, no, dude. Get everybody saying hi. Look at that. Chat's blowing up. Great people.
You actually got that out of her, but if she's feeling comfortable, that kid's got too much in her background to not. You got to get her to shut up. She can
She's
go
like a daddy.
hours.
She's like a daddy.
Oh my God.
But no, seriously, dude, you getting in and out of breaks, I think is because we listen to radio, and when I do it, I feel awkward doing it. I feel like it's contrived and it doesn't feel natural or sound natural because I'm not good at it. And it's a specialty, man, and I just
thought y'all
admire
were
the shit
making
out
fun
of
of me, even with like the 90 in the books and the Big Show and all those kind of things. And I know AJ was doing it to some degree too, just to try and get to. But at the same time, I'm not going to change who I am.
Yeah, no, and I told you didn't believe me because of how we got started, but I would tell you, man, people miss when you don't say 90 in the books, 90 still to go. People miss when you don't do the What Up H Town. I mean, it's those things are part of our show's identity, and you brought that to the table, man. And but just the mechanics of leading a show, I respect the shit out of it because it is not easy.
I appreciate you. Yeah, I can't say that. I mean, like I said, it all goes back to like, look, the first day when they told me I was going to be doing, I can't tell you the conversations between me in my head about, can you do this? And as much as you used to make fun of everybody on the different stations with our flagship stations, because we would do spots on their shows and I'd listen to everybody else and I'd make fun of, oh God, and that read, and oh, they did that. And all of a sudden, like leading up to the first times I was working on ESPN, I was like, can I do this? I mean, am I going to be able to go transition to this and fill time with that? And believe me, you question yourself a bunch when you know this from going from something you know well to something that is new. It could be a mental war sometimes.
It really can. It's not as easy. Everyone loves to say, "Oh man, I could do what y'all do. I could do it on the radio. I can't even do what you do, Joel, and I do radio." But I can't lead a show. That when I came in, remember when AJ was there? Were you there? Oh no, you weren't there.
I wasn't there
because you were out. But I was leading the show, huh?
I think the one day I was listening and I was texting you, going, "Oh, you can't do that."
Well, AJ comes in when he's done, when the show's over to start the blitz, and I was like, "Man, it's a lot harder than I thought." And he goes, yeah, you fucking sucked at that. I was like, yeah, I know what my lane is. It is a different skill set.
I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about there was a day that I had to get a whole bunch of stuff done or something, or I was at jury duty or something, and you tried to pull off either What Up H-Town or one of the other ones, and I was like, oh, you got to go back and do that again. You can't do that.
Yeah, that's not easy. All right, next question here. Roland has another question for us. Top 5 D-bag media personalities y'all interacted with, local, national, TV, radio.
Well, this is what you do best, Barry.
Huh?
This is what you do best. Let it fly.
I mean, you guys know number one for me is Adam Clanton. And it's because of the specific interaction that I had with him on that one thing with the chick and the tattoo and all that. And now I was like, man, fuck that dude. I see through him. And you know what? It's also based off of the fact that a lot of people I know, we were talking about all the teams that have come and gone, and he was on a lot of those. So I don't like that dude. I think he's kind of fake, and and there's a lot of people that feel that way, but they won't come out and say it, and that's fine. Other D-bags? I really don't.
The thing, and it's tough because we're still going to have to work with these people.
But there's not really anybody else I dislike in radio. I may not like their style, but it doesn't mean they're a douchebag or like just an asshole that I don't like. I just may not like the way they do radio.
One thing that I found out was I was in a job, in a position in which a lot of people needed me. They didn't need me as a person. They didn't need me as who I am. They needed me because I was able to supply a lot of stuff that made their job easier. And one thing I will say, without naming names, is when I didn't have that job anymore, I found out real quick who were two-faced, all about themselves, and disingenuous, as opposed to the people that were still there, still saying, hey, whenever you land, wherever you land, I'm going to be there. And if I can help, fine. But those people, when you couldn't give them highlights anymore or set up an interview for them or give them the stuff they missed at practice.
Get them access, yep.
When that went away, then so did the relationship. And I called a lot of people out at it, especially when we were on Radio Row at Super Bowl. I called people out, and like you, from across the street, I'd be like, hey, you don't see me here right now? You don't see me? And like Travis
I remember that.
with me the one time. And Travis was like, oh, my God, Joel. And I go, I don't care. Because you know what? When he needed B-roll and an interview and all the things he needed because he missed the big news conference at practice today, I gave him everything. But when I didn't have that job anymore, now suddenly I'm not cool enough. I'm not good enough. And I hate the kind of people.
Yeah, I don't like fake people. I'm okay. Like, I'm okay if you don't like me and I don't like you. That's fine. We just don't have to communicate. We don't have to see each other, be around each other. It's whatever. I'm not going to lose sleep, and I certainly don't expect you to lose sleep. If we don't like each other, that's just life. You know what I mean? But don't be fake. I'd rather you. There's an old Malcolm X quote, something about I'd rather somebody to be in my face as a devil than pretend to be an angel. I don't remember the fucking exact quote, but that's me. I would just rather just be an asshole to me, and I'll be an asshole to you when we won't like each other. Don't be fake. That's way worse in my book. And people that are like, oh, yeah, I like you, Joel, and then you lose your job and you can't get them the stuff that they want, and now all of a sudden they don't fuck with you anymore. Those are the worst kind of people in this business.
It's the Eddie
by
Haskell,
far.
And I go back to when I was in my 30s and Leave It to Beaver was on every day. But the whole Eddie Haskell mentality, don't turn it on and act like a choir boy when you see each other in the media room or otherwise, and then the minute I walk away or the minute that I'm not around, I gotta get medical help to get the knives out of my back. That's BS.
All right, I'll take a few more questions from the chat, and because that's what this was for. We just wanted to give people access to behind the scenes and talk about the show, some stuff they didn't know. But this is a good one. Where'd it go? Brandon. He said, Brandon Martinez said, Barry and Joel, how was the cock soup bit? It was great radio. Did you guys really get in trouble? No. If truth be told, if we're being honest on the chat and give you the behind the scenes, no one gave a shit about the cock soup bit. But it was fun and it was funny and it enhanced it. In that particular case, no. Nobody got in trouble.
There's been one or two that we've actually gotten in trouble for, talked to about.
Well, you weren't in on one of them. I don't.
The one I wasn't a part of for sure. Yeah.
When we were talking about, so it was. I think you were gone. I don't know where you were.
Yeah.
But Nick and I were doing the show, and he had just done Palillo with Dell, and they somehow got on the subject of eating ass in the last hour of the Charlie Palillo show. And then we started.
Not a topic I'd be getting into.
And then we started the show talking about eating ass. And I just remember, thank God, for some reason, I didn't really get in like I normally do. Because you know me, if I'm like, oh, we can talk about eating ass, let's do this. I wasn't really going ham like I normally would, but I did throw out the line about, because Nick always thought it was funny because I made it up. I think that's when I made it up was on air, but I just said, listen, there's one rule about eating ass, and that is if you're going to do it, wear goggles. I don't want y'all getting pink eye. And then that's the only thing I said, and he was laughing. And then we get a call to the station. Someone was pissed. They just spent 30 minutes, 45 minutes talking about eating ass. And so we got a stern talking to, and Jong had to pull audio and give it to David Gow. And I love David Gow so much. I tell you what, you're going to find few better bosses on this planet than that man, because he's firm, but he's fair. And we could be getting into trouble for a lot of shit, but he's like, you know what? Do your best radio. And he doesn't agree with, I guarantee you, David Gow wouldn't listen to our show from start to finish because of some of the stuff that, whether it's childish or silly or whatever, it's not his style, but he lets us be us. Yeah. To a degree. I mean, he's got his limits, but his window of what we can and can't do or what we can get away with is way wider than a lot of other station owners would be.
I think the only other times I can remember is, did we say something that's not allowed to be said on radio or something like that? I don't think it was like anything too controversial that I can remember.
Yeah, I don't think we ever got too bad. I don't think we've ever actually had anyone turn in the show. Just that one time, but that was a carryover from the previous show. But I don't think we've had anything that's gotten us in serious trouble with our program director, whether it was Jong or AJ. Right. Johnny had a question. I think you kind of covered this, and I did want to talk about that for a second because I wasn't aware of all that for a very long time. But he said, we kidded you a lot about your age. Excuse me. And you hinted to it here in the chat that your dad was discriminated against. And that was why you kind of hid your age and didn't discuss it. That could not have been easy, man. When watching that, and then I really didn't know about the bullying or to the extent that you were bullied. did you have brothers and sisters? I mean, what was the dynamic like? Because I really wasn't bullied as a kid, so I don't know what that's like. But I
So
know that there are.
my one sister's watching right now, I think, in Wisconsin, and she's a loyal listener to the show. But I was basically like an only child, except for the fact that when I was too young to know any different, my sister Lynn, who's watching, she would babysit for me. But the age difference was so great. By the time I really had, I was aware and cognizant and talking, I was by myself. So I didn't have the brothers or sisters to rely on. And, I had friends of mine's parents in on it. I mean, I was the kid that was fat shamed enough that if we were going to a swimming pool or whatever, I was going to wear a t-shirt and I was going to wear it in the water. And then I had my buddy's mom saying, "Hey, why don't you sit here by the kiddie pool and pose for some pictures?" And then have her share them with her husband and with the next door neighbors who they hung out with and everybody, and then just make comments and laugh and do things. And then, and then my best friend was 2 years older than me. And so my best friend and I, when we were alone and hanging out and everything was cool, we were playing sports because I could still play with just about anybody. But then when it wasn't about sports, then when all the ribbing and things came, it was kind of like, we were talking about, they'd get personal. And if my best friend's 2 years older than me, then he's worried about the fact that if he sides with me, he's going to be called out and picked on and disowned by his friends his own age. So, it made it tougher. But, it was one of those things where, my dad, I raised myself in terms of like, I was a ball boy for the Bucks, and we were laughing about it because of the whole being in the Last Dance
document. Yeah.
But without that job, I don't know, from the standpoint of making it through high school and having like clothes that were acceptable and money to any kind of money at all for anything I needed, because my dad lost his job because of age discrimination, and he prideful man without a job. And we're just trying to, thank God my grandma owned our house, and it was a duplex. She lived upstairs. We lived downstairs. So because my grandma owned the house, we could stay in our neighborhood, in our house. So to some degree, my dad didn't have as much embarrassment, but he went unemployed for, I think, almost 2 years. And without me having a job and doing the things that I did, I don't know where I'd be. And would have been shamed a lot more.
Well, like I said, I was never bullied, so I don't know. I mean, I was picked on, but I was never bullied, and so I don't know how that would shape me. So I can't imagine what the defenses that you had to build up, how you cope with things and deal with things. And obviously it shapes you. Do you think that that's why you have some of the personality traits? Because we talk about being the alpha. We talk about being competitive. When it comes to sports, you're really good at pretty much everything. You're a really good baseball player. You're a really good basketball player. You're amazing at golf. Did that drive a lot of that?
Sure. That was my escape, because if there was one way that I could fit in, if there was one way that I could be accepted, it was through sports. And then, so it was playing, and then it was also because I was a Bucks ball boy. So then I could get autographs for people for Christmas, or I could, do things like that. So without those two things, it probably would have been a lot worse. But at least through those things, then I was able to be accepted a little bit more, and probably kept me from going off the deep end. And then as I lost the baby fat, and as I came into my own, then it was like, okay, same thing we were just talking about. Where were you when I wasn't this? And if you were shitting on me and you were treating me terribly, then guess what? You forgive, but you don't forget. So
never forget.
Yeah, it was different, and it solidified a lot of friendships, and it also made sure a lot of them never happened, because, when I was playing four sports in high school, and I was suddenly, I had a letter jacket, and I had awards, and I had opportunities, and I had offers, then it was like, hey, and I go, no, man, because you know what? You remember the day that you made fun of me and asked me if, who had more roles, me or Pillsbury or something like that, and I'm like, you know what, bro? I don't forget that.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you, but we're not going to be friends.
It's amazing how those things can shape us, right? Like, I know for me, I don't know that I would have ever really been a comedian had my parents not got divorced when I was 6 years old, and I watched my family fall apart. and my sister was in rehab for drugs at 13. She was already an alcoholic and a drug addict at 13. And then there's me. So all the attention was on everybody else. So for me, because of all the fighting and all the turmoil, and I would just make jokes and I would just try to make people laugh to make things better. So, I mean, if I would have grown up in a normal family, I don't know that I would have been a comedian. I don't know that I would have been as funny as I am, because I learned if I could make my mom laugh in the midst of all this, that it brought her joy, so that brought me joy. Or if I could make my dad laugh, or I would get his approval, or you know what I mean? So yeah. It's amazing the shit that happens to you as a kid, that how it shaped us. So you're successful, Joel. You've worked for 2 NBA franchises. You have a great radio show, if I do say so myself, in the 6th largest media market. Would you go back and, because you're by all means you're a success, by any stretch you are a success. There's just no doubt about it. You have a beautiful wife, beautiful kids. You're living the dream. Sure, we could all have a little more money, but I digress. But
yeah, and I've overachieved in a lot of ways. But yeah,
right. Would you go back, if you could go back and change your past, change your childhood, and not be bullied, not be the fat kid, not go through what you went through, knowing it would change your personality, your drive, your alpha male, your competitiveness, your desire to win and be the best, would you give that up for a better childhood?
I don't think I would, because my mom made sure that I still had a great childhood, because she made sure that the friends that I had, who I still have to this day, we had fun. And maybe we were, for a period of time, the outcasts at school. But when we weren't in school, my mom was taking us to R-rated movies and making sure on Friday nights we were still going out for pizza, and we were still, able to look at girls and play video games and do things, because, and this is real. And my dad, I got all my athletic ability from my dad. But there was a long period of time where my dad checked out. My dad was doing whatever he wanted to do. My mom and dad probably shouldn't have been married. My dad was where he wasn't around till the weekends. And on the weekends, when I wanted to be with my friends, he wanted me to do whatever he was going to do so that he could say he spent time with his son. So when I came out of my fat stage, I also came out of, like, my dad came out of whatever sowing his oats stage, and then he wanted back in. And so then he wanted to jump back on the bandwagon. So he wanted to talk to the reporters. When we're down in spring training in college baseball and all the scouts are behind home plate, he wants to sit with the scouts. I won't take the mound until he moves, because I don't want him to try and take credit. I don't want him to suddenly say he was there. And my high school newspaper did a story when I was all conference and everything on, like, my background and where I was and what happened and all these different things. And I gave credit where credit was due. My best friend, who was 2 years older than me, and his brother, who's 3 years older than me, were the reason why I was where I was. And it pissed my dad off to no end, but it was the truth.
And you know what? Sometimes the truth hurts, man. Sometimes, you feel bad, I imagine, telling people the truth. But it's one of those things where, you know what, if well, Joel ended the call. Let's see here. I was wrapping up. Don't worry, guys. Did you guys have anything else? And Sam, stop being a dick, please. We're trying to have a grown-up conversation here. I'm glad you guys enjoyed this. I don't know what you're talking about, Hugo. Talk about my roles. Let me see if I can add Joel back real quick so he can wrap it up. If you got any other questions, put them in now. If you got any other questions, put them in now. I'm going to add Joel back one more time, and then we're out, because this has been a long one. Not that we can't do 3 hours of something together. All right. Well, there goes that. I saw him go. It did it again. All right. Well, you know what? Fuck it. We'll wrap it on that. Listen, I appreciate you guys. I thank you all for tuning in. I hope this was what you guys wanted. I really wanted to do this. I know Joel. I appreciate Joel because he's a private dude, and I was glad he agreed to do this. So thank you guys. for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some insight into us as people and us as what we've gone through as a show and friends and coworkers. And I hope that was interesting. I know I always, whenever I hear backstories of people that I watch or I'm a fan of, it's always interesting to see it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't know if there will be a part 2. I don't know how long I'm going to do these. Keep tuning in if you like them. The more that y'all watch live and then go back and watch the other ones later, the more that makes me want to keep doing them. So thank you guys for tuning in. Tomorrow, I don't even know who my guest is tomorrow. Let me go look. I gotta pull it up. You guys bear with me one second here. I'm gonna see who the guest is for tomorrow so I can tell you. By the way, if you guys care, I know that you guys were looking forward to Lisa on Charles Adams. Oh, guys, tune in tomorrow. Charles Adams is a fool, man. He's a lawyer and a judge. Charles Adams is the bald guy with the beard that argues with Cornell X on Fox 26. That's who's joining me tomorrow for this live chat. So that is not to be missed. Now, next week in Lisa's spot, I have secured Quentin Demps, former Texan. So he's going to be joining me. We'll talk about Texans and Bill O'Brien, NFL and rap and everything else. So I'm sad that Lisa's out, but I'm excited about Q Dems joining me next week. So tomorrow, Charles Adams, don't miss that. We're going to talk all kinds of shit, and he's a crazy and interesting dude. Again, thank you guys so much for listening, man. I really appreciate y'all. I will talk to y'all tomorrow. Yes, I need to go fix my computer. Screw yourself, Chris. All right, guys. Talk to y'all later. Bye.